Foreman straight back in the pocket. Rifles a pass. It was tipped. It's picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score!
Look to the left, and he kind of telegraphed it all the way. When the ball was tipped, Foreman's in the right spot.
The Jay Foreman Postgame Show is brought to you by Anderson Ford and Vinny Krikak of State Farm Insurance.
Here's Valenti dropping back, fires a pass, and it's intercepted by the Huskers at the 25, Jay Foreman. And Foreman takes it down to the 19-yard line of Oklahoma. Another big play by the Black Shirts.
Here are your hosts, Jay Foreman and Nick Sainert.
Well, there you have it. Nebraska falls 37-10 to the Penn State Nittany Lions here as we kick off the Jay Foreman postgame show. Nick Sainert alongside the Husker Hall of Famer Jay Foreman, as we will be with you until 11:45. Maybe we take it till midnight, just depending on how you guys are feeling, as Nebraska falls 37-10 to the Penn State Nittany Lions on the road. And Huskers now 7-4 overall, 4-4 in the Big Ten Conference, as disappointing night as Nebraska once again falls 37-10 on the road ahead of the regular season finale next Friday night again, or next Friday at 11 a.m. on CBS against the Iowa Hawkeyes. As always, 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line are open for you guys. We want to field your calls. We want to field all of your texts. We will get to all of them throughout the course of the next 90 minutes or so. There's a lot to get to, a lot to break down. I'll start here. I mean, I have a lot of frustration because, once again, if something like this happens a couple of times, it's one thing. If something like this happens once, it's frustrating. If this happens multiple times, then it starts to become a pattern. And when it's all said and done at the end of the day, this is now the third, primetime game, national TV game that Nebraska has failed to take advantage of an opportunity. And they lose today 37-10 to the Penn State Nittany Lions. With that being said, let's go ahead and bring in the Husker Hall of Famer, Jay Foreman. Jay, 30-7-10, my friend. Did not see this one coming.
No, not at all. I mean, obviously, Penn State had been playing obviously better than they had before or while James Franklin got fired. But at no point did you expect Nebraska to go there and, get beat by essentially 4 scores and be dominated from the very start. So it's definitely alarming. It's definitely not what anybody expected. And you got to tip your hat to Coach Smith and Penn State, where, it was senior day. It was, they're trying to set themselves up for extended season, and they just looked more motivated. They looked more energetic and obviously more physical, and they just took advantage of some opportunities. I mean, I think they really set the tempo, and they never really relinquished that momentum. And so you got to give them a ton of credit. But more importantly, obviously we're here in Lincoln, and we have to focus on what Nebraska did or didn't do, and a lot of it was controllable. And sure, you can say, oh, the offense should have scored 30 points. Ultimately, the defense didn't give the offense enough chances, to be effective.
Jay, I was watching the game with Austin in the second half here, and one thing that we noticed was, all the drives that Penn State scored, other than the one where they had the big special teams play that Nebraska ultimately, and then tack on an extra 15 yards. All of the drives that Penn State scored on were long drives longer than 75 yards. Right off the bat, 7 plays, 98 yards, 10 plays, 82 yards, 7 for 75, 8 for 75, 8 for 75. All of those resulted in either touchdowns, and then the one, which was 10 for 82 on the second drive of the game for Penn State, resulted in a field goal. You and I talked about it in our pregame segment. You have to get off the field.
Yeah.
When there's chances to get off the field and you just weren't able to. I mean, Nebraska looked absolutely clueless defensively.
Yeah, I don't know if like clueless, like they didn't know what to do. They just got beat.
Okay, so maybe that's a better way.
I mean,
maybe,
I think,
yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like
that might be my emotion
like
coming into it.
Yeah, it wasn't like they ran to the right and nobody was there. They just got. I mean, they just got beat. They weren't getting off blocks effectively. At times they looked like they maybe played too high. Penn State was falling forward on contact, which is, one of the things that you want to do in defense. You want to have enough gang tacklers to knock them back, and it's more of a mental warfare type of thing. And they just beat us. I mean, they beat us in every aspect. They got timely plays. I would be willing to bet if you looked, we had more penalties than they had. Right?
Yeah.
So they were able to stay on schedule and on target as far as, their rhythm on offense. And they were able to run the ball effectively with both running backs. They kind of made some adjustments and instead of running conventionally, they ran the screen pass there to Singleton. And then they let Allen get busy when they came in with two backs, and they were able to essentially do whatever for the most part that they wanted. And that was probably the most disappointing thing. They were able to get outside on the edges, right? So that means we didn't set the edge as good. Then they were able to run counter, inside counter, power, G pull. They
Anything.
That's the thing that makes their running attack hard to defense, because you will get every single type of blocking scheme known to man, and every single one of them was somewhat effective tonight at some point in time.
Jay, this is my kind of maybe emotional approach to it here, and please stop me if you think I'm out of line by saying all this. I think one of the things that pissed me off the most just about tonight was that you look at just coming into the game. There was no surprise as to what the opponent wanted to do. Nebraska knew Penn State was going to run it because Nebraska admitted, whether it was low-hanging fruit or not, Nebraska admitted that their run defense is not up to par this season, and they knew that Penn State's strengths are to run the ball conventionally on offense. There was no surprise that Penn State was going to run at Nebraska. And then conversely, the same thing could be said about Penn State knowing what Nebraska wanted to do.
Right.
Penn State knew that Emmett Johnson, Nebraska's success goes through Emmett Johnson. And we saw tonight that even in a day where he has a really nice game, a real effective game, Nebraska still didn't have enough to get the job done. Yeah. And to make matters worse, one of the teams, the one that performed worse tonight, had 2 weeks to get ready for it.
Yeah.
2 weeks to prepare. And it looked like there was just very little preparation or awareness that Penn State, and once again, you can talk the X's and O's way better than I ever will be able to. And so I'm not even going to try to compete with that. But one thing that I will say is I'm tired of hearing, and we saw tonight, I go back once again to the press conferences on Monday when Matt Rule spoke and on Tuesday when John Butler spoke. And on Monday, Matt Rule comes out and is very forthcoming and very, very honest and transparent, really, about how, our run defense is not good. It's a weakness. It's what teams are going to exploit time and time again. We know we need to get better at it. And then on Tuesday, your defensive coordinator comes out and basically tries to defend the defense in saying that, well, to just sit here and say that the rush defense is low-hanging fruit and that it's bad is low-hanging fruit and that you shouldn't criticize it. And if you look at other things, the pass defense is really good. Statistically, it is. And we haven't given up explosive plays. Maybe part of that's true, but also having the awareness of when teams are running it down your throat time and time again, of course the pass defense statistics are going to look good because the volume's not there.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you look at tonight where you had 2 weeks to prepare for a team that you knew what they wanted to do because they have an identity, even if they are 4-6 and now 5-6, is that you knew they wanted to run the ball. And from the start, you allowed 7 yards per carry in the first half, and you gave up explosive plays. It's not like your pass defense was that great tonight. And so everything that you criticized all the media and all the fans for criticizing themselves on Tuesday just got embarrassed on national TV again this season. And so, yeah, like 100%. And tell me if I'm out of line by saying that. But from like an emotional fan standpoint, I'm sitting here going, what have you worked on in the last 2 weeks? Yeah. Or from game 1 to game 3 to game 6 to now game whatever, 11 yeah. This is.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, emotions are high right now because nobody wants to. I mean, obviously, me as a former defender, you don't want to see, our defense play that well. I mean, or play that bad, excuse me. But, what you're saying is right, where, I think both sides can be right. Coach Butler can say, okay, look, we're doing well against the pass, which they had been up until today.
Yes.
And the reason why I don't think it was done is good today is because I felt like the continuity between the second and third level wasn't there, because it was kind of like the same type of passing concept, route tree. I've been in that situation where they're exploiting a couple guys that aren't very like on it. And but then on the other side, to your side, you could say, okay, well, it's a big game. You said you weren't going to do this, and then exactly the opposite happened. So really, to be honest with you, for me, I just look at it like you just got your butt kicked and you didn't play well. That's what I'm more like disappointed in.
I can't imagine. I found myself like tonight, especially, and I found myself even like Minnesota when you and I didn't get to do a post-game show together. Like as somebody that has seen this program at its heights and at the tallest it's been and played in it, to now see them, the linebacker crew specifically, or just the defense in general, like you just said, I can't imagine what goes through your mind. And I'm not trying to make it like a woe is Jay Foreman type of thing, but I think it's just all encompassing because we sit here and we always have the conversation of, is it players? Is it coaching issues? What is it? Tonight, it just felt like the whole process and organization.
They got caught in a tailspin right from the get-go. You were in a tornado and you weren't able to kind of like get yourself out of it. I mean, it's, I don't look at the defense and like all of a sudden lose sleep because, we didn't play well. I think it's more or less I'm disappointed for, those seniors and those kids, because they weren't able to handle their business. And, because I want them to feel what I was able to feel all the time as far as, winning a championship and winning big games. And so ultimately, I'm disappointed that they probably let themselves down more than anything and versus me. I mean, I've done what I needed to do and been rewarded for that, and whatever they are able to do, I want them to be rewarded more than that. And so that's where the disappointment goes in. But, the disappointment just in general is, exactly what Penn State was going to do. They might have dressed it up a little bit differently, but you knew exactly what they're very limited in the pass game, and they're very limited in the run game. But they've been able to be efficient. They were efficient tonight, and that's what probably is the biggest letdown. Like Nebraska players were in the right position. Like if they're supposed to be in the B gap or the A gap or the C gap. But then it comes to the point of, okay, I'm going where I'm supposed to do. The ball is going either away from me or to me, and then now I need to play football, and that's where they really struggled. They're probably if there's the biggest critique I have for the front seven in general, you played way too high. So then that allowed Penn State to lean on you. Their offensive line is a mauler type, kind of engulfer type. They're not quick and agile and fast getting up to the second level like USC. So that was a different type of animal. This is a straight up inside outside zone, punch them in the face, get them off, you make a play. And they were able to beat us to the punch today multiple times.
The offense by no means was spectacular tonight, right? Like we'll get to that, sure, right? But I think you're going to win very few games giving up 37 points on a day where I mean, it was dominating on the ground game for Penn State. I mean, you know, obviously that Katron Allen's now in the record books, but I mean, 25 carries, 160 yards, 2 touchdowns. He averaged 6.4 per carry. Nicholas Singleton, who we barely saw tonight, in all honesty, 7 carries, 44 yards, also 2 touchdowns, also 6.3 yards per carry. I mean, those 2 guys were completely dominant tonight, combined for 32 carries and 204 yards there, and 4 rushing touchdowns. I mean, and it allowed, there's the usual thing of the conventional running game success for Penn State opened up things for a backup quarterback in Ethan Grunkemeyer. And he went 11 to 12 for 181 and 1 touchdown, no picks for Grunkemeyer. But I don't know. There's a lot to unpack here in terms of the mentality piece for me too, Jay. Like not to switch facets, but I mean the special teams piece of it, the special teams piece of it, where it was 30 to 10, and Penn State ran a fake punt. I mean, Penn State ran a fake punt on 30 to 10.
That was the shove it down your face.
That
was no respect. We know you can't beat us, and so then therefore we're gonna try something that we haven't done all year.
Well, and I think here's what I said, and I tweeted this out. Unfortunately, I tweeted this out that I could never imagine Nebraska doing that. I just can't. Like
being up by 20 and running
being up by 20 and running a fake punt on your own side of the 50. I could never.
I could see Nebraska doing it, but we just ain't there yet.
I don't think so.
Well, I mean, what are you trying to say, that they don't have the mentality to?
Have we seen that?
Well, we haven't been in the position to. I think that we would, but I'm more worried about. They felt like being up by 20 with that much, which is essentially a quarter and a half left, that we can run a fake punt and jam it down your face with the tight end. With the tight end
who hadn't had a reception all year.
Right. So this was the get right game. You know, the indirect disrespect is what I'm talking about. That's what I'm
sure. I think
that's what I'm focused on. You're focused on what Nebraska would do with being in that position. I don't care about that. I'm talking about what they did, what Penn State did when they're in the position.
Yeah, I just think that when it's all said and done, Nebraska, I'm kind of speechless on this.
I mean, at the end of the day, we got beaten all 3 phases.
Like I'm trying to put this into words.
Right. I'm putting it into words.
But we can't sit here and just be like, oh, we just got beat, because it feels so much worse than that.
Hold on. Sure, because it's emotional. But in reality, I'm taking all that out of it. What we did was we got on the plane, went to Penn State, and we got beat in all 3 phases.
But I don't even know if it's emotional, because Jay, like this is a pattern. This is not just a once. This isn't the first time this has happened this season. Michigan, you were unprepared, and if it wasn't for the Hail Mary before the end of the half, that game's a double-digit loss. USC, you fell apart in the second half. Right. No adjustments.
But the quarterback
Minnesota.
The quarterback got hurt.
Okay, quarterback got hurt.
Minnesota's the ISO.
Minnesota. This was your chance to take Minnesota away.
Minnesota was controllable.
Was tonight controllable?
It wasn't as bad as Minnesota, but yes, it was controllable. That's why I think those 2, Minnesota and Penn State, are different than Michigan and USC. Nick, showing up with the intentions, being ready for a full-fledged 11th and O Street fight is different. That's controllable. That has nothing to do with the refs, the weather, what the other team does. It's just how you just show up ready to handle your business.
As always, 402-464-5685, Honda Lincoln Hotline. The Starter Heyman text line are open for you the entire show tonight. We will take all of your calls if you want to call in on the Honda Lincoln Hotline.
Bring all your heat. Bring all your heat. I understand, people, you are upset. So just
people are mad at you on the text line.
At me?
Yeah.
What? Hold on. Why the hell are you mad at me? What did I do? What are they saying?
Jay continues to make excuses for this team and this coaching staff.
I'm not making excuses. I'm telling you the reality. They got on the plane and they got off the plane and they weren't ready for a street fight. So then, therefore, this is what happens. I'm not saying it's right. Making excuses, it's okay. This is not okay. So you're asking me how it happened? You didn't get on the plane ready for a street fight. Not understanding this is senior day. Terry Smith has galvanized this team to play for something bigger than themselves individually. And then, therefore, you're going to get their best effort. And then let's take it further. We said it on the pregame show. I've said it on Old School all week long. This reminded me of Nebraska being 5-3 and going and playing at Michigan State 2 years ago. They are not throwing for first downs. They are trying to throw for touchdowns. Why? They have nothing to lose. Absolutely nothing to lose. And when you play play against a team with absolutely nothing to lose, with a really good roster, I mean, they have athletically or status-wise or whatever you want to call it, their roster is still the reason why they were preseason number 1. So it's not like they had a bunch of schmucks over there. And ultimately, you just got took to the woodshed. I'm not making it. This ain't excuses. I'm just telling you what happened. The same game that you're watching, that you're mad at and understanding, I'm watching and understand it because I'd been on part of that. I understand how it happens. But more realistically, I'm going to tell you, you gotta get off the bus. Okay, I'll tell you. How much time do we got?
We're fine. We got plenty of time. We have a phone call waiting.
Okay.
So it's
real quick.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay. When you want to stop the run, okay, Nick, it is your mindset. It is something that if me and you are in the locker room, or in our linebacker room, and we have whoever else to us, generally 3 guys or whatever, we understand no matter what happens in front of us, we're going to stop that running back. It's a mindset game. Did it look like their mind was right? Did it look like you were getting off blocks? No,
it didn't.
Okay, so take the scheme out of it. At the end of the day, it's man on man. You're going to try to block me. I'm not going to let you. And then when I get to the running back, I'm not going to let him fall forward. So then we are not going to let us to do this.
So then
let it happen.
Jay, is that because now? Okay, so same thing can be said. The from the scheme, from the mindset, the mentality piece of it. I mean, this is now the 4th game this season that this has happened, and you look back. Maybe Nebraska wasn't in a spot ever to win this game. Fine,
sure,
but in other games where this has happened, USC and Minnesota being the 2 that stick out to me the most. We sit here and say we've had this conversation ad nauseum on post-game shows this season,
right?
To where it's people are getting pissed on the text line and on the stream, and I see you guys will get to them about the 3. No, I'm saying about the 335. We've gotten a lot of texts, but that's it's not even about that. It's because there were a lot of times tonight Nebraska lined up with four down.
They were in 5-man front sometimes,
and still couldn't get it.
Man on man,
and it's like
that's the front I want. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Man on man. That means I don't have to think nothing. That means I got 5 guys here. You got 5 guys blocking. So I don't have to worry about anything.
You just have to beat your one dude.
That means me against you, I'm going to win.
Let's go to...
Hold on. Why was you laughing?
That was the loudest I've seen you pound the table. You were pulling like a Dwight Schrute during the Office scene.
No, that was Denny Green.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Let's go to the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Let's go to the Honda of Lincoln hotline, 402-464-5685. We got Will on the line. Will, what are you thinking tonight, my friend?
Man, so excited to watch the game. So the game's on. Then Nebraska has the ball, then it's boom, boom, boom. Big run, red zone, stuffed. And then Penn State, they do the same thing. Boom, 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 big run, red zone, but they kick us in the teeth. And it felt like Penn State was saying, listen here, youngin, this is how you play football, and this is how you finish. And now we're just going to teach you a lesson. I don't know. It just, after that, it was like, man, we need linemen and coaches and this and that. That's all I got.
I appreciate that, Will. So here's what I'll say. I think that there's a couple of things that we can build off of Will's call for. It's a lot of people talking about like defensive line and they need to pay for linemen. They need to pay for offensive linemen. This is the point I continuously go back to. And Jay, maybe you, I don't know how much you're able to comment on this. I mean, you're going to be able to comment on it. Like a $35 million roster doesn't just automatically win you a game like this tonight. And so, like I said it before, and I'll say it again, of that I hope that we have to be realistic with ourselves here in terms of next season when the schedule is a lot tougher than what you had this year. Mm-hmm. You got, like, I'm saying you as Matt Rule and coaching staff and as Pat Stewart GM, like this is, these next couple of months is when you make your money, because you got everything you need. You just got everything you asked for. You got more time, you got more money, and now the fans need to get more results. Yeah. Because this emotional coming in. What we just talked about, the mentality piece of it.
Yeah.
Just because you have a more expensive roster, and just because you automatically pay guys more money, and just because you bring in 25 guys in the portal, doesn't automatically equal that game tonight being a win. No, that's where I worry at times, and I hesitate at times talking about the future of this program, because in complete transparency, and in no way am I calling for jobs. In no way is that at all. There's a lot of money invested in that group right now.
Yeah.
There in terms of coaches, there's never a question of whether Matt Rule has the money to get assistants. There's never a question right now of whether or not they have the facilities or the resources. We can't sit here and act like that's like a bottom of the barrel in terms of NIL investment program as it is.
Right.
They should at least be competitive. And this felt like 3 or 4 steps back.
Yeah.
And once again, if this was the first time this season had happened, we'd all be emotional. We'd be pissed, and rightfully so, but we'd be able to move on because it hadn't happened. No, this is now, once again, it happens once, shame on whoever. But if it happens 3 times, man, it becomes a pattern. And now this is the 4th time this season it's happened.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the preseason look-see at the schedule. And it was lined up ready for a magical season.
You faced a 75% full stadium tonight.
Right, which was...
You're lucky to get that environment in that stadium. Because the other home games for Penn State are jam-packed.
Yeah, jam-packed. And like I said, everything circumstantially that you don't control were really in your control and to your advantage, I guess, would be a better analysis. And then, so that's where the frustration, comes from, on top of what you saw at times throughout the season. And today was no different, or tonight was no different. It was a lost opportunity. And so, I'm not a big believer in that you're going to go out and buy a roster. I think you can do it for a year, right?
Yeah.
Colorado did it for a year or two, or 2 years, or it actually, came to fruition for a year. Texas Tech has done it. Michigan State was the original OG of hitting the transfer portal, and I don't know if necessarily NIL was involved in, and some other schools have done it. But I think longevity-wise, you're going to have a good foundation of your non-negotiables, and that's how you play on, whether Friday night or Saturday night. And for Nebraska, they didn't reach any of those as far as intensity, physicality, execution, efficiency, emotional intelligence, and rational, obviously execution in the game. And so that's where people are upset, because it's so late in the season, and then coming off the bye week, you expect them to, have things more tightened up. I'd be willing to bet that Nebraska had more penalties than Penn State.
By 1. They had 6. They had 6. Penn State had 5.
Right. So but they were untimely penalties, and they were like Dane Key jumping off sides.
And that's the thing.
That's the thing where you have to point at the mindset. And so I'm a big believer like defensively. If we're out there together, I don't care if we're in a 3-3-5, a 4-2-5, a 4-3, a 3-4, a 6-1-4 or whatever, you know what I'm saying? 5-2 or whatever. At the end of the day, I have to make sure that we handle our business no matter what the coaches call.
Mm-hmm.
And Penn State wasn't running anything fancy. And so I think it was more or less of a natural habit that you go to in pressure situations. And more importantly, you got to break those habits. And sometimes it takes some time to do so. But the time is now, because as much as you just got your butt kicked and embarrassed on national TV against Penn State, Iowa's going to come here with probably a day ahead in recovery, as far as being able to play earlier in the day and not have to travel, trying to, embarrass you at 11 o'clock in the morning after Thanksgiving.
Yeah. And frankly, like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear excuses on that. You get back late this week and it's a quick turnaround for Friday. Like, well,
actually, you want it to be a quick turnaround because that flight home should be miserable. And then I don't know if they practice tomorrow or whatever. Then you're really on to Iowa, and you're going to want to prove yourself and prove to yourself. Not even proving to the fans, because fans are very emotional and stuff like that. But you should feel like you let yourself down. So then, therefore, if I let myself down, if I didn't play as good as I could, that means I let Jason Peter down.
Yeah,
Octavius McFarland, Farley, Grant Wistrom down. I'm wanting to get back out there no matter what the circumstances are to make it right. And that's why it's actually a pretty good thing that Friday, comes, a day or a day and a half early for this team.
Let's go back to the Honda of Lincoln hotline, 402-464-5685. We've got Larry, who's been waiting patiently. Larry, thanks for holding, my friend. What's on your mind tonight?
How you doing, fellas? Just a couple questions. My first question is for Jay. Given tonight, seeing what we saw, do you think Holgorsen still being relatively safe with TJ and calling the game? And my second question is, I know it's a long season. 12 games is a long season in college football, especially for these kids. But that's the second game in a row coming off a bye where Nebraska's really got dealt with. I'm just saying, is there an excuse for that, or is there something they can do to make sure that doesn't happen? Or I'm just kind of curious why that is.
Appreciate that, Larry. All right, let's start with let's work in reverse order here. Is there an excuse coming off of the bye?
No, I don't think there's any excuses. I think Penn State just beat us.
Yeah.
So maybe how you played, there's no excuse for not being physical. He said how to,
because
people got after us. I think it was more or less just a mindset. I mean, I think this is not taking anything away from this game. I think the biggest problem you can do as a fan base is look for reasons why you didn't play good. Look, let's just focus on what you did or didn't do. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, forget the bye week, man. Right? The schedule is the schedule. You playing the schedule. You know when the bye week is. I'm assuming in January at some point in time, or whenever the heck it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the reason. Like, you have to get, like, every individual has to operate individually and think collectively. That means when I'm riding from, whether they stayed in Harrisburg or in State College or wherever, Happy Valley, when I'm riding to that stadium, I want to play well, because you want to know why, Nick? I put in a lot of time that week and made a lot of sacrifices. I want to play well for me, but I want to play well for you.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have to think collectively, because then, even though I want to do all those things that I just mentioned, I sometimes might have to do something that's not going to set me up to get individual accolades. But then I have to have the trust in you and whoever else is playing with me that eventually it'll come back around. So all the other things about it, whether it's a bye week, whether you didn't have a bye week, whether you played on the road, whether you played at 6, or whether you played at 2:30 or 11 or 11:30, I don't care. and nobody else cares, because you want to know why? Your opponents don't care. Penn State didn't care. So neither will Iowa. So at the end of the day, I think, it's a maturity thing. You control your destiny, but when you know that you have an easier, I would say on paper, an easier path in front of you, it takes more maturity to complete that mission versus the mission where you're always fighting uphill, because you're always trying to chase that gold, that golden nugget. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now that this is the maturity time, and I don't know what Matt said after the game. I know the players should, look, at no point in time you should give up 37 points to Penn State, man. I don't care if they have Eric Dickerson back there, or James Brown, Walter Payton, and then Eddie George all in, or like Derrick Henry all in rotation. Period.
Just a reminder, the Jay Foreman Postgame Show brought to you by our friends at Anderson Ford of Lincoln, Vinnie Kreekak of State Farm Insurance, and Baumgars. Experience better with upfront market-based pricing at Anderson Auto Group of Lincoln at 27th and I-80 and 33rd and Yankee Hill. Let's go back to the Honda of Lincoln hotline, 464-5685, with another caller here tonight. Peyton's on the line. Peyton, what's on your mind, my friend?
Yeah, I just wanted to say this one definitely hurts, but we for sure can't gloss over how good the lines are for Penn State on both sides. That's all I got, man.
Thanks, Peyton. Jay, thoughts on I did not. Okay, so maybe this is going to be a hot take. I didn't think Nebraska's offensive line was that bad. You have to look like that was not the reason. There's a lot of people in the comments right now talking about how Donovan Raiola needs to get fired.
That needs to stop.
The offensive line the last 4 weeks, the last 4 games has actually been one of the better spots on the offensive side of the ball. The skill positions have not been very good. And frankly, a lot of Emmett Johnson's success, it's Emmett Johnson making guys miss. But Nebraska's run blocking this entire year has been really pretty good for the most part. Tonight, you look at the procedure penalties potentially, and you might see that there were a couple of false starts. We got to remember, and you need to remember this as you talk about this and you complain about this game throughout the week, is that those 2 false starts were on Luke Lindenmeyer and Dane Key.
Yeah.
And so they're going to go as false starts, and obviously we always just pair that offensive line. That was not the case tonight. Right. I thought Nebraska, they ran into a buzzsaw of a front 7 of Penn State, and number 33 for them is really, really talented, and Nebraska right now just doesn't have one of those guys. But ultimately, I thought they did a fine job tonight, at least blocking.
Yeah, offensive line, you need to stop that. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to stop taking the easy route and just blame the offensive line and the offensive line, coach. First of all, you have one of the top 5 or 6 rushers as far as running the ball in the nation, right? So okay, just on that alone, he's doing some, good in the run game. In the last 4 or 5 weeks, they've protected the passer since Minnesota on a pretty consistent basis, to the point tonight where TJ Lateef had so much time that he threw it out of bounds 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And one was forced out of bounds, but it would have been an interception if the guy would have kept his feet inbounds. So what that tells me is the offensive line is blocking long enough. And it's very easy also to, procedure penalties, just blame the offensive line. What if it's not them? That's why I said right now, this game was a mentality game. The guys that are either paid the most or been around the longest, this is the game where you had to step up. That could be, I don't have a false start. That means I make a catch that's a 50-50 ball. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
None of that happened. So that's not even on coach. That isn't even on Dana Holgorsen. That's not even on TJ Lateef. And it's certainly not on the offensive line, anything. Guys need to step up and make plays in big-time games. Nobody cares what you did against Houston Christian. I care what you did against Penn State, because that's where you earn your money and earn your stripes.
Let's go back to the Honda Lincoln hotline, 464-5685. We got Branch on the line. Branch, what you thinking tonight, my friend?
Well, I don't know. The game sucked, of course. But anyway, the first series we had, after that, and then the Penn State's first series, after that I knew our coaching, we weren't ready. 4th and goal, we go for it. Not a problem. But no imagination on that play. You got a quarterback that can roll out. You can do an option pass, anything. Okay, but no. And then Penn State takes the ball. They go down and they score. They have a penalty on their extra point, and I believe we could have took the 15 yards on the kickoff, but instead we had them. We gambled for 1 point. We made them go back 15 yards, kick an extra point for 1. I thought we could have took that on the kickoff, but I'm not sure about that. But I thought there were 2 bozo decisions by our coaching staff.
Yeah,
we were going to lose anyway. I don't care. But
I appreciate that, Branch. Okay, so let's talk about the first couple of possessions of the game. Nebraska goes down. Emmett Johnson breaks off the big run right off the bat.
Yeah.
Really nice blocking by the offensive line, I might add, on that one play. It allowed Emmett to break for, I think it was like 60 yards. Gets Nebraska into territory. I liked the idea to go for it. You don't get scared because of what's happened earlier in the year. I'm a firm believer of that. Maybe we disagree on that. You just take points on the road. I don't know. I would have liked to see maybe if they fully trust TJ Lateef in the way that they say they do. I would have liked to potentially see a simple boot with TJ and give him an option to maybe go Lindenmeyer, to go Barney, Dane Key in the end zone, or to use his legs. I think that might have caught Penn State off guard. Who knows? But then also we've been clamoring for them to simplify it and just keep it simple and run right up the middle. But to Branch's point, yeah, man, like I also don't hate that fourth down call to go for it, because Jay, the way that the game could have unfolded, you had a chance to stop them on third down. You had a chance in their first sequence to stop them on third down and short, and you didn't. You allowed a couple of explosive plays. Nebraska gets gets off the field on that 3 and out. Then Nebraska gets the ball, start the next drive at midfield, and nobody's saying anything's wrong with it. So I just, we criticized because it didn't work, but I do agree with Branch that there were some things that were alarming right off the bat.
There's an old saying that you be extra aggressive on the road and more conservative at home. And essentially what I'm saying, there's factual evidence and reality in what the trend is to go for it on 4th and 1. And Nebraska had been running the ball effectively enough in those scenarios to get that first down.
Yeah.
Just that you just got beat on a block, and now it turns into the worst call in history, and everybody's going to blame that call on the plethora of the other penalties or other points that they were able to accumulate throughout the game. But that was it was a pivotal moment, and sure, it would have been nice that now that they didn't make it to get 3. But more importantly, I think it's just come down to the ability to keep them out of the end zone. We did not play with the right leverage, physicality, heavy and violent hands, and then also that kind of let's see how much you want to play football mentality to Penn State, and let them hang around them, too much, and the byproduct was the end result.
Once again, show sponsored by Anderson Ford of Lincoln, Vinny Kreekak of State Farm Insurance, and Baumgars. This fall, Baumgars has everything you need to get your farm ready for the season and tools for your fall projects to get ready before winter. Get ready this season with Baumgars throughout Nebraska and in Lincoln at 56th and Cornhusker Highway. All right, Jay, it is we're approaching the top of the hour here. I think it's time for our first break. We've gone for about 35 minutes straight here. I think it's time for our first break here. I think on the other side, maybe we break down the offense. We've spent a lot of time on the defensive side of the ball here. Maybe it's time we talk about the offense and TJ Lateef and what was the second start.
Yeah, I think it's good because when you get beat but like this, you just think, all right, is TJ Lateef isn't a starter. So we'll dive into that, what I saw and what I think possibilities are in the future. Jay Foreman Postgame Show, myself and Nick Sainert will be right back.
If anybody that's a golfer knows if it's a nice day, you have golf on the brain. So I came across the Big Red Golf Tour, never looked back, bought a book every year since. So it's nice to have that book.
Angela loves golf and loves to save money. That's why she loves the Big Red Golf Tour's book.
I've bought it as a Christmas gift, Valentine's Day gift, birthday gift. Anybody that I've given this book to has been happy to get this book because they know that they can save a lot of money. You buy the book and all you have to pay is the cart rental. Green fees are paid for. It's an awesome gift. gift.
Save money on golf with the Big Red Golf Tours book, especially Black Friday weekend. Over 100 courses in the book, including all of Lincoln City courses. You won't pay a dime for golf. Just pay for the cart. Black Friday weekend, save more. The book's 25% off, just $75, and you get free golf for 2026. Black Friday weekend only, $75 for free golf. Buy it online at BigRedGolfTours.com. BigRedGolfTours.com. BigRedGolfTours.com.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
Load up on meat and more this fall at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. From now through the end of November, Ferndale fresh turkeys are just $3.99 per pound and in limited stock, perfect for your holiday meals. Plus, you can stop by for lunch on Fired Up Thursday at the Mercado East or Fired Up Friday at the Mercado North. With locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha, get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
I can't believe I just scratched that car. Find my insurance card.
Dude, what do you have in this glove box? Ew, are these socks dirty?
Oh, forget about the socks. I need my insurance card.
Just pull it up on the State Farm mobile app.
But I can do that? Oh, hey, I can do that.
Yep, it's called service.
I can file a claim on here too?
Yeah, it's called service.
Whoa, I can call my agent too?
It's called service.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Krikak, today at 402-474-1173.
Stonebrook Exterior is your trusted partner in exterior solutions for both residential and commercial projects across Lincoln and Omaha. With over 2 decades of expertise, they deliver everything your building needs, all under one roof. From roofing and siding to gutters, wall systems, custom masonry, and metalwork, Stonebrook handles it all with precision, safety, and professionalism. Take the worry out of your exterior projects. Choose Stonebrook Exterior, where quality, safety, and service come together seamlessly. Visit StonebrookExterior.com or call 402-438-5559 to get your free quote today.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Join Landmark Implement, your local John Deere dealer, for our upcoming Parts and Service Expo events. Get 12% off parts the day of your local event. Can't make it? You can still save 10% on parts and 20% off planter parts December 1st through the 12th. It's the best time of the year to stock up on oil and filters. Grab John Deere gifts for under the tree and schedule your service inspections. Don't miss out. These deals only come around once a year at Landmark Implement. Find your nearest expo at landmarkimp.com and experience the Landmark difference.
This fall, Baumgars has everything you need to get your farm ready for the season. Stock up on livestock feed, deer corn, and pine shavings to keep your animals fed and your farm running smoothly. Need tools for your fall projects? Grab DeWalt power tools and grass seed to keep your fields in top shape before winter. From your barn to your backyard, Baumgars has you covered. Get ready for the season with everything you need to finish those fall fix-ups. Baumgars, field, farm, and fall fix-ups.
Back to the Jay Foreman Postgame Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Powered by Baumgars, Anderson Ford, and Vinny Krekak of State Farm Insurance. Here are your hosts, Jay Foreman and Nick Sainert.
What up, we're back. Jay Foreman, my main man, Nick Sainert. Jay Foreman Postgame Show. We're going to dive into the offense with, what they were able to do, and what it looked like, and what it can be, next Friday. I mean, I think, everybody wants to look at what TJ Lateef was or wasn't able to do. I think he, handled himself just fine. He looked like a legitimate quarterback, and obviously Emmett did his thing, and he was the bell cow like always. And I think that Penn State just brought it to us, man. I mean, we just got beat. I mean, they just were able to kind of disrupt us from any type of flow. But I thought that, TJ handled himself accordingly. I don't think he was like nervous or anything like that and had any jitters. I just think that it was tough sledding. You could see that he was a little bit inexperienced, but I don't think it, really affected him, affected me in my evaluation, the way he played all game. Sure. Is there things that he could do better? Sure. I mean, any coach would say that about any player. But I don't think it was walking away from the game. It was like, oh yeah, TJ Lateef can't play, or Emmett Johnson can't play. So, Emmett was able to run the ball effectively and have over 130, 40 yards, like total offense. And that's what you need from him in big games, because Penn State was making an effort to try to stop him from getting going, even though he had an explosive run play in the first series. And then TJ was able to do his thing and throw some passes that normally wouldn't be completed. But his ball placement was excellent. I think his velocity and trajectory on his passes was excellent. The only thing that he needs is this experience, right? Mm-hmm. Showing up to a stadium, running a team, understanding different schemes, and when he gets in meetings, he's going to see the difference of the rotations that he faced, and he'll be more ready for it next year, no matter where he's at.
Yeah, I think when it's all said and done, there was decisiveness from Lateef. I think we've seen that the last couple of weeks from him too, which is sometimes it's rare in a freshman quarterback to have decisiveness in what they do. Let's hear Matt Rule assessing TJ Lateef's performance here.
I think TJ, well, I mean, at the end of the day, TJ, I don't think had a bad play of the night. Even on this, we called the, kind of the rollout play, and it ended up being a sack on the one. If you remember 2 games ago, Sam, against USC, twice he ran and twice they knocked the ball out and fumble went out of bounds. Kid hasn't really been hit in a long time. Got out there, even on a play like that, he gets down. I think he moved the ball. He got us on the right checks. He handled the pressure. He handled the crowd noise. We had to go on silent the whole night. I thought TJ did a lot of good things. There's probably some throws at the end of the game. He'd love to get back, but he battled. He fought. He tried to run guys over and all that. I would probably prefer that he didn't always do that. But I think it sent a message to our team that he was going to fight for us, and that Emmett was going to fight for us, and that Sierra was going to fight to the end. And so, he'll have to be ready for obviously a great Iowa defense, a different type of defense, but a great Iowa defense. And it's a short week. It's going to be a real challenge for all of us, and we're ready for it.
Once again, don't want to hear about short week. I just don't.
I mean, it's going to be a short week, and you got to embrace it. And I don't think he was saying it as an excuse. I just think you got a short week, and we'll be ready for it.
Sure, yeah, that's fine.
I'm fine with that right now. Yeah. I think you're more.
I don't know. We heard the same thing Monday.
I think you're more worried about. You're referencing the Monday. I'm fine with that.
Sure. If that was the first time we heard about it, I'd be fine.
Sure. Yeah, and I get it. I mean, but I think ultimately, like I said, he thinks that TJ, and I believe it, handle himself accordingly. I could say we got to get better. We just got to play better, because getting better at this point, I wouldn't say you can't do it, but it's a little bit different. Now you just got to play better. And playing better is only going to be dictated by what you do, in this case, Sunday through Thursday.
Here's how Matt Rule started. I'm interested to hear what he said in his opening statement. It sounds like they didn't have a media room it sounds like they were just doing this on the concourse. So apologies for the audio not being great. I'm curious to see what Matt Rule said in his opening statement today. It's about 30 seconds long, and we can just go from there here and talk about whatever Matt talks about here. This was Matt Rule's opening statement after Nebraska's 37-10 loss tonight.
Well, obviously, that was a tough night. Credit to them. They were ready to play. They were unbelievably motivated. They played really well. I thought, I challenged you guys at halftime. A bad run there of plays in the first half. Obviously, we just never played well enough on defense to stop the run. Second half, obviously we got to stop. Went down, scored. The punt fake. Credit to them. But just a disappointing day. We don't have a lot of time to worry about it, think about it. We got a big game on Friday. So we take this L. I put it on me as the head coach. Credit to them, and we have to move forward fast.
It's not a lot there. Credit to Penn State, I suppose, Jay.
Oh, definitely. You got to give, Coach Terry Smith the credit for not only having his seniors motivated, but the whole team. And he's had them. He's had them motivated and playing well. And I'm not even going to say motivated. I think he's really got them to play to a standard that they weren't before. Yeah,
Terry Smith, you're talking about?
Terry
Smith. 100%.
So you got to give him credit. You got to tip your hat. And then tonight was no different. Whether they were playing Indiana and going down to the right, right to the very last 4 or 5 seconds, or whether they were going on the road against, Michigan State, or they were on the road at Ohio State going into halftime down 3. He has set the standard of what it's like and what you expect from a Penn State alum, Penn State fan, but more importantly, what you should expect from your team. And tonight they were on their game. They won all 3 phases. I think they beat us in special teams, and obviously with the fake that gives them the little bit of a leg up, and then offensively, selling Holmes, and defensively, Brian Pittman down there was done his things as well. So I think right now, I think part of it, I will say this. I remember when we played in Buffalo and we played San Fran, Nick, and I talk about the time that when Terrell Owens was doing the Michael Jackson Thriller we played him around, Halloween, and we got smoked. I think it was either 20-0, 35-0. And we just pretty much washed it away and was like, we got to move on to the next week. Now they got to do it because they do have a game in essentially 4 days. And so, really, when you think about it, it's 4 days. And so, sure, you can go back to work on Monday, do something. Tuesday, sure. Wednesday's probably really, really light. Thursday is just like you're just making sure, everybody's there on time. Friday is game time early in the morning. And so for this Nebraska teams, you got to rinse and repeat, but then also you got to make sure that you're checking your DMs or whatever it is that they communicate with their coaches that you have to address. The most important thing is the intention of showing up ready to play and ready to execute. And that has nothing to do with a 3-3-5 or whatever it is. It has nothing to do with who's calling plays, who's quarterback. You have to show up with the mindset that I'm ready to play.
Once again, 402-464-5685. Honda Lincoln Hotline still open for you guys. We've had quite a few callers here tonight so far. We will take your calls up until 10:45 p.m. is when we will call it here on the Jay Foreman Postgame Show. Once again, the show sponsored by our friends at Anderson Ford of Lincoln, Vinnie Creek of State Farm Insurance, and Baumgars. Protect yourself from the unexpected. Contact Vinnie Creekak and his team for a personal price plan to take the guessing out of insurance. Call today at 402-474-1173. All right, let's get to the text line. We have not done I have not done a great job of getting to the text line here tonight, as we've been fielding calls all night long. So let's just go through some of these. Jay, stop me when you hear one that maybe we want to talk about here. 2038, we'll start with this one. The defense absolutely stunk tonight. If they can't figure out how to stop the run, it's not going to get much better. This is not on the offense at all. They had no opportunities to try to make this a competitive game. The defense is bad in regards to being an elite defense. Somebody asked, so whose fault is it if they got off the plane not ready to play? Is it coaches or players? Let's go ahead and answer that one. I mean, we talked about the mentality piece of it. You talk about the drive to get ready to play on a game day. Who is it on? Is it on the leadership of the players? Is it the veterans?
I think it's on both. I mean, it's players and coaches. I mean, they're in it together, and you just didn't represent. I mean, I would like to think the players are ready, with their, like ready to go and understand what it's like to go into a championship environment, even though they had probably about 5,000 seats open, give or take. But then you got to say, okay, the coaches, maybe need to take the bull by the horns and get them right. But ultimately, everybody's got to, check themselves and decide what they were wanting to do and what they were willing to do to get ready for this game.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think the most concerning piece that we've talked about throughout this entire show so far, in the hour and 15 minutes that we've been doing it, is what B Hop said on the text line. He said, Jay, we're still talking about mindset issues in week 11. And I think that's part of it.
And that's a maturity thing. That's also something you have to grow into. I will tell you, B-Hop, me as a 18-year-old, 19-year-old starting as a redshirt freshman was nowhere near, the mentality or mindset, where I would need it to be as a junior. Now, I will tell you, I operate out of fear that I don't want to let my other teammates down. So I don't know if that's there. I think it's more of the mindset of, being 100% invested in this football team, understanding what it takes to prepare for a season. And then when you get into big moments, you don't shy away from, whether it's taking the last shot or whatever. This is like, oh yeah, we're playing Penn State. It's senior day. They have nothing to lose. They want to put on a good show. They want to become bowl eligible. That I want to ruin their whole Friday or the whole Saturday night. And I'm going to actually work harder because I want to destroy every dream that they have, because I want to lay the foundation for the future that we took your heart. That's how deep you have to think about a game week versus okay, I watch third down tape. I watch first and second down run, play action pass, and then we're doing blitz drill with their cut-ups. Okay, I'm done. What I'm talking about has nothing to do with tape. And so what they need to do is make sure that whoever is their leaders, they need to really get together and understand they all got to dig in. And when you dig in, sometimes, you get dirty, and you got to, and what I mean by dirty is that you're going to be quote unquote called out by what you aren't doing well enough to the championship standard. And that's where they need to find that. And then they got to find a ways to actively implement that. And until that's happening, they're going to struggle at times.
Yeah, just run through the stat lines real quick before we take another break here. Emmett Johnson obviously led the way on the ground, 19 carries, 103 yards, averaged 5.5 yards per carry once again. Emmett Johnson continues a strong and efficient season. He led the Huskers career high in receptions tonight for Emmett Johnson. 8 catches, 48 yards. He did have a 22-yard catch, man. You take that away. 7 catches for, what would that be, 26 yards is not a great, yards per catch, I suppose, statistic.
A lot of late check downs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they sat on him as well.
Very often. Yeah, Ja'Cory Barney, how about this? In his last 5 games leading up to today, had 55 yards combined. Tonight has 5 catches for 55 yards. This is really the one time I thought we've seen Ja'Cory actually put some sort of fingerprint on the game, and whether that's by design or for Ja'Cory, because of Ja'Cory. But nonetheless, I mean, I'll say this, Ja'Cory, it feels like towards the end of the game there when we saw him hit, he caught one for, what was it? I think his longest one was 30 yards. It was vertical. It was, and that's where Ja'Cory really shined last year. And it feels like that's an area we haven't seen Ja'Cory either be utilized, get open himself, or have somebody be able to deliver him the mail.
Yeah, I think it's all of it. I mean, I think as you add more talent, you're able to throw on the outside a little bit easier and get some completions, with, Dane Key and company and Hunter, and then obviously with Ja'Cory in the middle. And so you're a little bit of taking one for the team. And I think the expectations, and then also, really more of the expectations were probably a little bit outlandish considering his productive first season. But if you level up with everybody else on the outside, and then the reemergence of Emmett Johnson times 2 or 3, your opportunities are going to be a little bit lower. And so that way, that means you have to be way, way, way more efficient with, being effective as a ball carrier.
Once again, this fall, Baumgars has everything you need to get your farm ready for the season and tools for your fall projects to get ready before winter. Get ready this season with Baumgars throughout Nebraska and in Lincoln at 56 and Cornhusker Highway. All right, Jay, it's time for another break. My friend, take us away.
Yeah, we're going to take a quick break, come back, then we're going to look, obviously for the next few minutes to answer some texts. Obviously, if you want to call in, we'll be more than welcome to allow you to get on and express your feelings. But we're going to look on to Iowa because it's, right now you can't celebrate a loss, and it's onward to Iowa. Jay Foreman Postgame Show. We'll be right back.
If anybody that's a golfer knows if it's a nice day, you have golf on the brain. So I came across the Big Red Golf Tour, never looked back, bought a book every year since. So it's nice to have that book.
Angela loves golf and loves to save money. That's why she loves the Big Red Golf Tours book.
I've bought it as a Christmas gift, Valentine's Day gift, birthday gift. Anybody that I've given this book to has been happy to get this book because they know that they can save a lot of money. You buy the book and all you have to pay is the cart rental. Green fees are paid for. It's an awesome gift.
Save money on golf with the Big Red Golf Tours book, especially Black Friday weekend. Over 100 courses in the book, including all of Lincoln City courses. You won't pay a dime for golf. Just pay for the cart. Black Friday weekend, save more. The book's 25% off, just $75, and you get free golf for 2026. Black Friday weekend only, $75 for free golf. Buy it online at BigRedGolfTours.com. BigRedGolfTours.com. BigRedGolfTours.com.
If you love a good deal, you'll love Schaefer's Clearance Outlet at 48th and R. And if you don't mind a ding or dent, you can save hundreds of dollars on hundreds of products. Refrigerators, ranges, dishwashers, laundry, even mattresses. All scratch and dent, one-of-a-kind, or home returns, and all priced to move. You still get Schaefer's long tradition of service and expertise, just at low clearance prices. Come see for yourself at Schaefer's Clearance Outlet, Wednesdays 4 to 7 and Saturdays 9 to noon, 48th and R in Lincoln.
Load up on meat and more this fall at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. From now through the end of November, Ferndale fresh turkeys are just $3.99 per pound and in limited stock, perfect for your holiday meals. Plus, you can stop by for lunch on Fired Up Thursday at the Mercado East or Fired Up Friday at the Mercado North. With locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha, get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Hey guys, it's Adam Carricker here. As a former Husker and NFL player, I'm a health nut. Hydration and recovery starts at home. That's why I teamed up with Culligan of Lincoln. Soft water means better showers, cleaner dishes, and it protects my water heater and appliances. Their high-efficiency softener cuts salt and water usage. For drinking, I added a Culligan reverse osmosis. Bottled quality water right at my tap. Great taste, and it's certified to reduce tough contaminants like lead and PFAs. Right now, get up to $300 off a whole home system or just $9.95 per month for your first 3 months. Schedule your free water test at CulliganHuskers.com. That's CulliganHuskers.com. Culligan of Lincoln. Water you love. Go Big Red.
Limited time offer. Participating dealers. Restrictions may apply. Husker fans know when you work together, great things happen. At Cornhusker Bank, they're more than your financial partner. With 5 locations in Lincoln and 1 in Omaha, they're your neighbors, your teammates, and your biggest fans. Whether you're saving for your first home, planning your future, or growing your business, they're right here in Nebraska to help you move forward together. Visit cornhusker.bank to learn more. Cornhusker Bank, member FDIC, doing life together.
Stonebrook Exterior is your trusted partner in exterior solutions for both residential and commercial projects across Lincoln and Omaha. With over 2 decades of expertise, they deliver everything your building needs, all under one roof. From roofing and siding to gutters, wall systems, custom masonry, and metalwork, Stonebrook handles it all with precision, safety, and professionalism. Take the worry out of your exterior projects. Choose Stonebrook Exterior, where quality, safety, and service come together seamlessly. Visit StonebrookExterior.com or call 402-438-5559 to get your free quote today.
This fall, Baumgars has everything you need to get your farm ready for the season. Stock up on livestock feed, deer corn, and pine shavings to keep your animals fed and your farm running smoothly. Need tools for your fall projects? Grab DeWalt power tools and grass seed to keep your fields in top shape before winter. From your barn to your backyard, Baumgars has you covered. Get ready for the season with everything you need to finish those fall fix-ups. Baumgars, field, farm, and fall fix-ups.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
Hungry for something real? Come to HF Crave, Lincoln's favorite spot for burgers that are anything but basic. Locally sourced Nebraska beef, hand-cut fries, and bold flavors that'll make your taste buds cheer.
Mmm.
Whether you're craving the classics or ready to try something wild, they've got the burger that gets you. HF Crave. Fresh, local, craveable. Find them at 48th and Holdridge or order online at hfcrave.com.
Anderson Ford in Lincoln has 2 convenient locations, which means 2 times the customer service, 2 times the inventory, and 2 times the ability to get you in the car of your dreams. Whether you visit us on the north side or the south side, you'll find more selection and a team that's always on your side. When you're looking for a better way to buy your next Ford, visit Anderson Ford in Lincoln, where exceptional service meets unbeatable selection.
Nebraska farmers, harvest is here and every gallon counts. That's why Sapp Brothers Petroleum launched the Go Big Red Fuel Giveaway. When you contract your fuel with Sapp Brothers, enter to win $1,000 in fuel credits. As Husker Country knows, the only thing stronger than the roar at Memorial Stadium is the drive of a farmer putting food on the table. Fuel your farm with Sapp Brothers Petroleum and enter to win $1,000 in fuel credits. Visit sapbros.net today. Sapp Brothers Petroleum, fueling the heartland. Go Big Red.
Back to the Jay Foreman Postgame Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Powered by Baumgars, Anderson Ford, and Vinny Krekak of State Farm Insurance. Here are your hosts, Jay Foreman and Nick Sainert.
What up, we're back. Jay Foreman Postgame Show. Myself, Nick Sainert. All our Husker fans that continue to support us and call in. We want to hear what you have to say and think via the text line, or obviously you can call in and talk live.
Drumstick, pitiful performance tonight. No heart. Was there heart, Jay?
I don't know. It was just not very good.
Yeah, I mean, Railroader Matt says this night. I agree. I mean, Matt Rule said that Penn State was motivated to win. Railroader Matt asked the question that he goes. So he says Penn State was motivated. Why wasn't Nebraska motivated?
Motivation is temporary. Discipline is what leads you over, to win. Motivation. Everybody's motivated at the end of the game, right? Whether it's a home game and before the government shut down, you have the flyover, you have the tunnel walk, or whatever Penn State does. They do the Mo Bamba and whiteout and all that stuff. So that's where the motivation comes from, right? But more importantly, to win the game, you got to be more disciplined. And discipline, embodies mental toughness, physical toughness, spiritual toughness. And I think Penn State was probably more invested in those 3 than we were versus, studying the X's and O's and all that stuff and try to minimize, what, didn't happen, tonight. More importantly for Nebraska, you get another kind of get out of jail free card. You play earlier this week and you got an opponent that and that's going to try to come in and try to, embarrass you in a lot of the ways that, that Penn State was able to do. And so, if you need a little bit of a test on how to, stop the run, this week is more than a test coming up with Iowa, both in offensively and then obviously special teams wise as well.
Experience better with upfront market-based pricing at our friends at Anderson Ford of Lincoln and Anderson Auto Group of Lincoln at 27th and I-80 and 33rd and Yankee Hill. All right, we get this text from Isaac in Lincoln. He says, in summary, we are still not a very good football team. Good show, fellas. Tough deal. Beating Iowa would be a real step forward and super rewarding for us fans, too. You think that's likely? GBR, Isaac, and Lincoln. Jay? Would beating Iowa be a real step forward?
It would be, well, yes, because you're able to bounce back from an embarrassing loss. All right, and once again,
I was gonna say you've shown you've been able to do that before,
but then you'll be able to beat an opponent that you've had you're struggling more times than not to beat. And then you also end the regular season on a positive note. And so there's a lot to play for. There's a lot of reasons to play for. You should be motivated / disciplined in your preparation. And then obviously when you come out to the game, that should just be a formality of what you did all week. And hopefully this game or performance against Penn State open some eyes and put a lot of guys in check that you got to, bring your A game, but more importantly, be a part of it. There's something bigger than yourself, which is a team. I'm thinking about holistically, coming to Thanksgiving weekend.
Is it petty of me to sit there and, they've shown that they've bounced back and stuff. For me to have the mentality of like, I would have appreciated it more. I would to answer Isaac and Lincoln's question.
3 or 4 times.
Yeah, like to answer his question about like beating Iowa would be a real step forward. I sit here and I'm like, the real step forward that I think we all need to see at some point, and I think it needed to be this season, and now you've lost opportunities to do so, is to string some of these together after you win or after you lose. Yeah. Like we're talking after either the Minnesota game, after the USC game, stringing some of these together because. Yeah, like great. Like Nebraska, cool. After you played Minnesota, what'd you do? You came back, had a disciplined game, and you beat a Northwestern team that's going to a bowl game, right? Like, nice job. Okay, how'd you respond to that, though? Were you able to string it together? No, you came back and you blew a first-half lead in the second half and lost at home to USC on a big theme night on national TV. All right, cool. Well, you bounced back on the road at UCLA. You showed us again that you could bounce back. Were you able to string it together? No, you were so far checked out of that game against Penn State tonight. Cool. Can you show us again that you can bounce back? Like, I just like that's in rewards. You think it's a real step forward, and I get why you say that, and I understand why we want to feel that way. I don't know. I'm just also at the point of like time is now.
Yeah.
And once again,
and there's both of us can be right.
Yeah, and the expectations that this coaching staff has, not even the fans. Like we talk so often about the unrealistic expectations that fans can put on this team.
Right.
This is less about the expectations that the fans put on them. This is more about the expectation that they have for themselves, in my opinion. And sure, if those folks in there want, to beat Iowa and a bounce back continuously after losses to be your steps forward, then fine. Yeah. But then don't talk about championships, because teams that we're in a day and age of college football where you can still lose games and still be rewarded with
in the college football
playoff appearances. If you do it over and over again, then you don't. And so, don't talk about championships when you're measuring success and steps forward as well. Did we bounce back after a loss?
46. Yeah, I mean, there's.
Maybe that's harsh, and maybe that's just emotional.
You got to leave a lot of the meat on the bone there. I mean, obviously, bouncing back after a loss is huge.
And it is. It absolutely
process with that. But if you're trying to expand your horizons, then there needs to be a process with that as well. And sometimes it has to be a partnership between player and the organization, and obviously coaches as well, in order to do so. And so I think where you're going from with Nebraska is the time is now. No more circumstantial excuses, no more political excuses, no more recruiting excuses or whatever. I mean, ultimately, you got to get a bunch of football players out there, and then they got to be willing to play within your scheme. But more importantly, they got to be able to play with a multitude of players in their schedule as well. And so, it's a tough pill to swallow. I'm just trying to imagine getting on the plane and coming back from Happy Valley, like what I know the message in the locker room. But this is a message that you got to really, you just can't say, okay, we got our butt kicked, we're moving on.
Yeah.
This is something that you have to forgive yourself, right? Like, I can forgive you, but you just can't forget. And how do you not forget is constantly, not constantly, but periodically and strategically reminding, whether it's said position group player, of how or what I need from you in order for it not to happen again.
Once again,
this is, I want to say it's a breaking point, but when you think about this season, no matter if you projected Dylan to get hurt or not, probably didn't expect Nebraska to be 7-5. Is that fair enough?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then you had the offseason hype with the schedule. You thought you did well and all that, and in a lot of ways you have, but you haven't been able to, kind of, live it out. How do you reset the stage moving forward? How do you, because Iowa is a part of 2026. Your last game always is a snapshot into what to expect next year. So Iowa is 2026, and so is the bowl game that Nebraska will hopefully, get, middle to late January. That's the reason why they have those those things that you can, put stuff in before. So I think this Iowa game, man, I know how you got to get the path that you have to go. You don't have the time, but you have to make it work. You get what I'm saying? Because in order to really dive into Penn State, what the negatives were, and then what you need to do in a positive way against Iowa, that's a combination of meetings, hard conversations, both as position groups and collectively and individually, then like walking through and playing, and then actively doing it like full speed in practice. You don't have that time just to hone in on 4 to 6 run plays.
Maybe tonight, as I'm trying to figure out ways to really put a bow on this and wrap this up, before we firmly talk about Iowa. This felt like, so you just mentioned, on the plane now, there's a lot of everybody loves to talk about soul searching after losses like this, right? Yeah. This is a gut check late in the season. I think maybe the way that I would describe it is sure, maybe Nebraska wasn't meant to win this game. Maybe they weren't favored, right? But do I feel like Penn State is 27 points better than Nebraska? I certainly do not. No. I certainly do not. The same way I feel like Nebraska's probably not 27 points better than Penn State. Certainly not, right? The words and phrase that I think I'm going to continuously use to categorize tonight's game once and for all is avoidable gut check. It's this, you're sitting here after the game probably questioning some stuff. These guys, some of these players are probably curious of, all right, what are my options postseason, right? And this is a dangerous spot because towards the end of the year, those conversations now are a reality of is this the best place for me? It's very easy to just check out on what Nebraska has left.
Well, Nick, what I always say, the worst position to be in is 5-7, 6-6, 7-5. In some cases, 8-4, because a lot of other teams that are 9-3 and above are coming to your roster to pluck them off. But then also when you're on that roster at times, like those players, it's the easy out or easy excuse of Nick's the problem.
Yeah.
Coach Nick is the problem. He hasn't got me the ball. Or whatever it is, or I'm not playing the right position, or it's just not right.
They shouldn't have moved me to a new position,
right? Or it's not vibing right. That's where it's dangerous, because on a long flight back, after getting embarrassed, and if you don't have the right leadership in there, those are the conversations that are happening more versus man, Nick, we really let ourselves down. This is our last home game. We're seniors. We've been through a lot. We made a bowl game last year. We're way more bowl eligible this year. Let's be honest with each other, man. We didn't handle our business, but we're going to handle it next week. And we're going to do whatever we need to do in order to do so. That's the huge part. And I don't know how you regulate that, because when you have an off season like we've had, right, where everybody's in front of the camera, everybody thinks they're entitled to playing time or success without actively doing it. Penn State got active. We didn't get active. So the mental part of this game, or this recovery, and then also getting into Iowa, is the most important thing. You can talk about size of the defensive line, our offensive line playing better, our defensive backs being one of the best in the nation. That's all fine and dandy. This game against Iowa, much like Penn State, is a mindset game. How well do you accept, and then obviously make sure you don't ever go to what you did against Penn State moving forward, is the key to, success moving forward, in this game and the bowl game. Period. Because if you think you're just going to get on the plane and say, Nick, man, forget about that butt kick, and we're going to move on to Iowa.
No, because like that's great point, because it's the fourth time it's happened.
Yeah.
Like at some point you can't forget about it. And so, yeah, I think you can go down some real dark rabbit holes. That flight from State College is longer than a flight back from Northwestern or a flight back from Minnesota. It's a lot longer.
It's about 3 hours. And if you're strategic about it, you dress it in the locker room.
This is where you can't lose the locker room.
Right. You gotta talk about it in the locker room. You got to get guys refocused. You got to be there for them as far as like being upset, about the loss or embarrassed or whatever it is. And then say, you know what, by the time that we get halfway through this flight, I'm going to get back on the mic and say, you know what, that game is over and we're moving forward. Now, we will talk about it, as far as like if I didn't run a right route or if I missed a defensive assignment, so forth and so on. But that's going to be, infused into how you practice in the week. Because whatever you didn't do well offensively or defensively or even special teams, you can best believe Penn State is going to put something in that replicates that or is very, very close within their like wheelhouse. So ultimately, the adults, the coaches and stuff probably have to lead this week more than the players, because those coaches, from what I see, on the internet, they've all been in these big games, and so you got to allow them to, teach these younger kids and obviously players how to deal with that.
All right, Jay, wrap us up here, my friend. We got about a minute left here. Go ahead and wrap us up, and we'll be live for one last regular season Jay Foreman postgame show next week.
It was obviously disappointing, tough, and you got to kind of, I wouldn't say flush it. You definitely got to, watch it, address it, and then obviously move on from it very quickly. So this is a mindset week. How mature can you be on a short week to not only address what you didn't do well, but then move forward and try to beat Iowa the day after Thanksgiving on a short week, even though nobody cares that it's a short week, because this is the end of the season. It is a bowl game right now against Iowa. Jay Foreman postgame show. We'll holler at you next week after, hopefully, a Nebraska W right here on 93.7 The Ticket.
If anybody that's a golfer knows if it's a nice day, you have golf on the brain. So I came across the Big Red Golf Tour, never looked back, bought a book every year since. So it's nice to have that book.
Angela loves golf and loves to save money. That's why she loves the Big Red Golf Tours book.
I've bought it as a Christmas gift, Valentine's Day gift, birthday gift. Anybody that I've given this book to has been happy to get this book because they know that they can save a lot of money. You buy the book